a stunning clear day has turned into night and it's windy, so no welding, but I do now have my big sheet of steel, so I can make my repair section for that floor. So that's what I'm going to go and do now. That's my new sheet of 0.9mm Zintex steel. That's the template I made last time, so I'm going to trim that out, but remembering to put the flange on this end. That's going to be too long to fit in my folder, so I'm going to have to do this in sections, probably with the vise and a hammer and maybe some pliers. I've chopped out my donor panel and I've just come out to the car to do a sense check, really, because it's one thing having a template made of card, and then it's the other thing having the sheet steel. What I was concerned about was the overall length, because the section needs to run from there to the front. Obviously it's got to have some belly in it as well, because this floor is sloping. So having rested it in the car and pushed it down, it still covers the hole at the front, so I know that I'm going to have enough material. So I'm going to go back inside, fold that flange, and then work out how much of a shape I need, and trim into the flange so I can get the panel to bend, even though it's got a 90 degree return in it. I've been using the vise to try and bend that flange in, just clamping it up a bit at a time and just pushing gently, but I'm not quite getting the sharp curve, or sorry, sharp 90 degree bend that I wanted. So I'm going to open the jaws a bit and then tap it around the edge of that vise to try and get a better finish. You can see the progression of my bodgery in what I've just done to this panel. I wasn't liking the big open curve I was getting just by pushing it over by hand, so I thought I'd hit it with a hammer, but that just left loads of shitty dimples in it and it looked like all wavy and horrible. So then I thought I'd try beating a piece of wood down on it like that to really hammer it over the edge of the vise, but that put a massive dent in it, which really pissed me off. So now I've been hitting a piece of wood on the top surface like that, really close to the edge of the jaw, and you get a really nice sharp edge. So that's what I'm going to continue to do, and hopefully I can get rid of that. I mean, it's stupid going to this amount of detail anyway, because all of that's going to be seam sealed, but I just want that flange really straight so that it can go on the inner sill and be plug welded without leaving a gap between the two panels. So I do want a tight curve, or sorry, a tight 90 degree bend in that. Don't want like a big open radius. Got somewhere close now by beating it along the top of that metal frame. So it is a nice sharp edge. A couple of waves in it, but by the time it's welded in, that'll be fine. Back out of the car, just offering it up to see where it goes. I've marked where this section of the floor is flat, and then that bit curves down. So I've cut a slot in the flange, or the return, about there, to allow the panel to move. And then I've started thinking about the front end. The flange doesn't run the full length of that panel. It actually stops up here somewhere and goes in line with that one. So I've just marked up under there where I need to chop the front section of the flange off, and that'll allow that top skin to bend upwards, and it should all drop down and sit nicely in there. So that's what I'm going to do next. Kind of getting somewhere close now. That sits down on the floor properly. I've got a couple more slots to make in here to get it to fit the floor as well as it should. It's looking better from underneath as well. So I'm just going to continue fitting, removing, titivating with it to get it somewhere close. On the video this might not look like there's actually been much progress, but it does fit really quite nicely now. So that will tuck in behind there. I've got enough flexibility in this to clamp it where I want it, so when it's a bit nicer out, I'll clamp it to the inner sill flange. I'll drill my spot weld plug holes. I'll also mark from the underside the bits I'm going to be welding down onto, like the chassis rails. Then I can pre-drill all those holes, clamp it in and weld it down. But it's very cold, so I'm going to go home in a minute. There is one other thing I wanted to show you, and that is my plan for the rear wheel arch, because I had a bit of a result the other day. That is the big hole I need to repair. Now that bit usually comes as part of that whole quarter panel. Now, I don't want to change that at this point, I just want to make it solid. So what I have here is a section chopped from a brand new but badly fitted rear quarter. So that was on another car that chap Simon had. Somebody had really done a crap job of fitting a new rear quarter to it. I don't know how they welded it, but it was maybe gas welding or something, but it looks like a pigeon has shit all over it. So that's not really a problem, because the bits that are damaged are the flange and that bottom and front edge, but those I can repair because they're just flat steel. It's this bit here which has like a tapering curve to it, which would have been difficult to replicate for me to fabricate, whereas now I can just graft that whole section in there like so, and it should make a nice repair without me having to go to all the trouble of swapping that rear quarter. And if I'm really careful, I won't even need to damage the paint. So when you shut the door, ta-da, it's all hidden. So that's for another day. It's really damn cold now, especially with the wind blowing. I think it's about -2. I'm not sure. That's centigrade as well, so yeah, chilly. So I'm gonna go home.